This is Talk. Welcome to the home of common sense. Welcome, of course, to our favourite guest every Monday morning. And that is, of course, commentator Sam Armstrong, who joins us right now. Very good morning to you.
Good morning. Happy New Year.
Happy New Year to you. I had to apologise to him as soon as he walked in. Sorry, I've got the same lurgy I gave you in December. I've still got it, but you've recovered at least.
I know. Thank you for that. That was
You're welcome.
The Christmas present I always
made a
wanted.
lot of friends with that in the office. Got to be honest with you. Genuinely, that smile is a fake smile. He's not happy with me. Anyway, apologies, and to everyone on the planes there and back as well. I'm not sorry about that too. Now, look, Keir Starmer's just started speaking. You know he means business because he's rolled up his sleeves. I can't tell you how much I hate politicians rolling up their sleeves unless they're required to when they're visiting in a hospital. But no, he's trying to look the business. He's got a load of NHS staff standing behind him. Hopefully they'll manage not to die of boredom, or at least they can get probably more prompt treatment than the rest of us could get if they are standing behind the Prime Minister today. He's announcing his plans on the NHS. But you know what? That is not leading the news. Partly, I think, because we've heard it all before. Partly also because just no one trusts that any of these things that Labour are going to announce are going to make any real difference. But all the focus is on Elon Musk and Nigel Farage, a spat which it turns out was pretty much all about Tommy Robinson, who, for some bizarre reason, Elon Musk and many of the people he seems to follow on social media, on X, his platform, seem to think is a political prisoner and is currently behind bars because he's a free speech campaigner. No, he's in contempt of court after outrageous libel against a young Muslim lad at school who was the victim of a horrific attack at school. And then Tommy Robinson kept repeating completely false claims that he was somehow, to blame for her, harassing girls at the school. I mean, complete lies, proven to be lies in court. Was told if he repeated these claims, he'd be in contempt of court. He did again and again and again, and came back to Britain knowing fully well he was going to end up in prison. It's just where he is. If it was your kid he was talking about, you'd be happy he was in prison too. He's not a political prisoner. He broke the law, and that's why he's in prison. Now, lots of people who break the law don't go to prison, including, of course, as we know, people who are, we use this phrase, grooming gangs. Let's call them what they are. Rape gangs, that's what they are. And they didn't go to prison, they didn't get prosecuted, they weren't even arrested, they weren't stopped, they were allowed to carry on their crimes for many years, still doing so today. Right now, in more than 50 towns and cities across this country, right now, today, there are Pakistani heritage Muslim rape gangs who are beating, raping, torturing, threatening violence and death even to working class white girls, and not enough is being done about it. Should Jess Phillips, the Home Office Minister, go to prison? Should Elon Musk send over, a rescue bid to liberate the people of Britain from their tyrannical government? Should Keir Starmer be ousted? Should Nigel Farage be ousted as leader of Reform because he's not willing to take someone like Tommy Robinson into his party? Where do we start, Sam?
Well, look, let's start with this. The existence of these gangs, either historically or certainly currently, is a stain of shame on this country. It is also a death knell, in my view, for the belief that multiculturalism is a unequivocal, always, totally perfect good.
I never thought it was.
We were told, I mean, even, and I dare say this, the King in his speech this year, it was as if diversity was the only thing that this country had to be proud of. I just don't think so. I actually think our history, our laws, our cultures...
None of which is based on diversity.
None of which...
Or multiculturalism.
All of which was based on a slow development over 1,000 years or more. But look, we have huge problems in this country as a direct result now of having at least 30 years, if not 60 years, of mass migration.
Yep.
Those problems are serious and they deserve to be fixed. People who say that are doing a public service and deserve to be praised for it. Now, Tommy Robinson did do some of that.
Stephen Yaxley-Lennon is his real name, of course. Yeah.
Did do some of that. And to be fair to him, he did so earlier than most.
Yep.
That is not why he is in prison. Yeah. He is in prison, as you say, because he made a libelous statement about an individual.
About a kid.
He was told it was libelous by a court of law, the High Court. There was a full trial. He had all the chance to provide the evidence. Couldn't do so. He was told, unless you can come back to this court with some new evidence, don't say it again. He did it again. Now, look, I work for the Free Speech Union. I'm a total and utter free speech campaigner, and I'm probably more of a free speech absolutist than most people you will meet. But can we all not agree that we need to have a law that says you cannot run around saying a lie about somebody indefinitely, continually, when it's been proven to be true? And that people, when they break those court orders, deserve to be punished. Maybe not the first time, and it wasn't on the first time, but certainly by the 20th, 23rd, 50th time, whatever it was.
He wasn't just saying it in a tweet. Tommy Robinson was putting out he put out a video.
He was broadcasting in Parliament Square.
Yeah.
I mean, he knew exactly what he was doing. There will be many, myself included, who suspect, to an extent, he was looking for a particular result, and he got it. He was
looking for a bit of martyrdom, wasn't he? Doesn't he? Am I not right in thinking he makes more money when he's behind bars?
Well, look...
Quite coincidentally, the crowdfunders for Tommy's kids, etc., etc.
And he seems to alternate between going on holiday and going behind bars. But look, none of that, in my view, negates or chips away in any way about the seriousness of this topic. And we should not let one particular individual, who I think we can all accept is, at least to an extent, in it for himself, to detract from the people who are actually suffering. And if you want to know who's falsely imprisoned, if you want to know who is suffering unjustly, it is the working class white girls that continue in this country to this day to be detained, to be raped, to be abused routinely on an industrial scale by people we should have had behind bars and out of the country a very, very, very long time ago.
I think, frankly, a lot of those people shouldn't have been in the country in the first place. And again, some of these men, they've got like dual nationality. Funnily enough, as soon as they get convicted, they renounce their Pakistani half of their nationality, and then they can't be deported. Well, I mean, shouldn't be an option. Again, people like me have been saying since, early 2000s, this mass immigration from countries with people who are not showing our values, in terms of views of women, gay people, things like that. Of freedom of speech, blasphemy laws, things like that. I always thought it was a bad idea. Never thought multiculturalism was a good idea. I think our culture, the Western liberal culture, is the superior and best culture in the world, and we should not give that way. If you want to live in a culture where you can just rape girls with impunity because you're a man and you're of a certain ethnicity or whatever, then fine. Well, do that and do with that in your country you come from, or not sure why you need to come here to do that. But here's the thing: we know this happened on an industrial scale. We're going to be talking to Maggie Oliver. I know she's been on various different shows, and she's someone I've spoken to for many, many years about this. She was the whistleblower in the Rochdale grooming rape gang case. Now. People talking about, people haven't been talking about this. This comes back into the news, just like literally flashes back into the news last week. Why? Because of Elon Musk picking up on people, writing tweets about this. In particular, a letter from Jess Phillips, Home Office Minister, basically saying to... I think it was to Oldham, wasn't it? Oldham Council saying, we need to have a report into this, saying, well, no, you need to carry out your own one rather than a national inquiry. Now, the idea that we've got local councils where local councillors, social workers, NHS, the police, everybody involved basically allowed this cover-up to happen. The idea that a local place can then do that independent inquiry is absurd. Demands for a full national independent inquiry, one that focuses only on this issue, not the previous one, this independent inquiry into child sexual abuse. That actually covered a whole range of different issues, barely touched actually on the grooming gangs issue over this 7-year period. So there's certainly an argument for that. But the battle royal has been between Elon Musk and Keir Starmer. And Keir Starmer is expected, when he finishes his speech in Surrey this morning about the NHS, to be asked questions about Elon Musk's criticism of him. There's also now this battle royal between Elon Musk and Nigel Farage, because Elon Musk was expected to give something like $100 million, I think, at one point, to Nigel Farage in reform, big fan of reform. And suddenly, out of the blue yesterday, he tweets, posts on social media, that he believes that Nigel Farage needs to be replaced needs a new leader. Farage doesn't have what it takes. Nigel Farage responded saying, this is a surprise. Elon is a remarkable individual on this. I'm afraid I disagree. It's very clear this is about Tommy Robinson. Nigel Farage says, my view remains that Tommy Robinson is not right for reform, and I never sell out my principles. Who's right and who's wrong on that, Sam?
Well, Nigel Farage is unequivocally, absolutely, totally right on this issue. Just put the rights and wrongs of the situation aside for 1 minute. Nigel Farage is very clear about what he's attempting to do, which is to replace the Conservative Party as the predominant voice of centre-right opinion in this country. You don't do that. You don't do that by getting into bed with the likes of Tommy Robinson. For 10% of the British public, perhaps, he's a man that is a real voice and extremely powerful. But for everybody else, he is the biggest, hugest turn-off you can possibly imagine. So Nigel Farage is making a very careful, very clever, very thought-through political decision. But where this goes wrong is that Nigel Farage decided to get into bed with Elon Musk in the first place.
Are you telling me the Conservative Party? I know you helped run the campaign for Robert Jenrick and the Conservatives and others. Now look, you're telling me that if Elon Musk said to Kemi Badenoch or Robert Jenrick, if he'd won, I'd like to give you $100 million, that you would be going, oh no, not Elon, no. Oh, give me a break, Sam.
Here's the thing: self-made multi-billionaire, very successful businessmen in particular that develop sudden interest in politics always think in the end that they know best how to run it. And that's where you get into problem, when they stop being a donor and start being a player. And look, Nigel Farage, look, there's the old saying, if you lie down with dogs, don't be surprised if you wake up with fleas. Elon Musk is at times as mad as a dog, and it's no surprise that this was going to break down and tear itself apart at one point.
I wonder how long actually Donald Trump and Elon Musk will be able to work together, because I think the two big egos, Elon Musk getting a lot of the coverage, that Donald Trump's not going to like that. But here's the thing for me, is that I've always said I want big money out of British politics. I think it's fundamentally corrupting. It impacts, it means that, anybody who gives, even £100,000, let alone $100 million, has more influence on a political party and their policies than you or I as individual voters. That is unacceptable to me. I would not allow donations over 5 or 10 grand each from any company, any individual. I would stick to that. However, my view was, you know what? If all the other political parties are taking massive donations, and if Reform get massive donations, then fair dues. And I think and I wrote a piece for the Sun before I went away saying, I think this could be an absolute game changer. That money, that nous, that But again, it comes clearly with too many strings attached. But we'll see what happens.